talk about you as a candidate, right? We know the name Joe Kennedy. Let the Black community know more about you, the individual.
I got into politics because I believe that it matters. And I believe that it's hard and it can be slow, but that it is the way in which we address the challenges that confront us all. And that a member of Congress and certainly a United States Senator can do something about that. And I've seen people do something about that. I got into this race because while I respect the incumbent, and I do, I don't think he is attacking the urgency of this moment with the relentlessness and the urgency that is required, given what a United States Senator can do and given the threats that we are under. And look, I thought that back a year ago, before COVID-19 and economic collapse. But when we were seeing a stock market soar and a 3% unemployment rate, and yet massive gentrification, huge disparities of wealth here in Boston, the fact that 500,000 people are going homeless and 37 million are going hungry in the richest nation in the world. The fact that the largest providers of mental health care in the country were jails in Los Angeles and Chicago. And if you're not seeing that inequity and seeing that disparity and willing to throw everything you've got at it, then how do I turn around and walk through the streets of Roxbury and hear from folks talking about literally the repeated trauma for their kids about gun violence, or the concerns about being priced out of their homes in Dorchester because of a massive increase in a housing value, which is now making it so that some families that lived there for so long can't afford the tax basis. How do you wrestle with this gentrification that's taking place when people are still trying to make ends meet and trying to make sure there's a secure retirement for their parents and grandparents? And if the response to that is, hey, well, I signed on to a bill, we'll get there hopefully, like, how is that enough? And understanding that just me wishing it so isn't going to be enough either, but you still got to throw everything you got at it. You still say, okay, yes, I filed that legislation. Now I'm going to try to find Republican co-leads. And if I can't find them, I'm going to go find Democratic challengers to challenge those Republicans to either sign onto that bill or lose their seats. Because that's what this moment requires, because our people are worth it and deserve it. And if you don't believe that yet, how much worse does it have to get? How bad does it have to be before you're willing to say, hey, you know what, we'll try anything we can to address this circumstance? Because I think for an awful lot of families, like, this is it. You are suffering and struggling and barely scraping by, particularly for Black and brown business owners. The economy's collapsed. Small business revenue's fallen by over 40% in this state. Amazon stock price soared. But I've walked down, whether it's been Upham's Corner or Bowdoin or Grove Hall, and Black business after Black business, brown business after brown business, immigrant business after immigrant business, didn't get a dime of federal assistance, didn't know about it, didn't apply, hadn't heard back. And if the response from government is, well, we gave you $1 trillion. Yeah, if you gave me $1 trillion, but I didn't know how to access it, you gave me nothing. So this requires a level of advocacy that I just don't think has been met. And my commitment to not just the Black community, but to our community is to say, look, I will give you everything I possibly got. This is my home, it's where I'm raising my kids, and your future, your kids' future and mine are linked. And I believe that our beloved city and our state can be so much better than we are at, but that change doesn't just happen. You got to go out there and push for it.
Congressman, you and I both are fathers of young children. What gives you hope as you think about your young kids growing up? What gives you hope to continue to drive and go across the Commonwealth day to day, shaking those hands, talking to those communities? What continues to give you hope?
Karim, obviously, like, yeah, as a dad of young kids, right? Your kids, right? I mean, it's like the best thing in the world. But what also gives me hope, candidly, is a lot of the other kids that I've met, right? And not to take anything away from the adults, right? But, you know, you go out to these events and inevitably a lot of them, there's a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. They might be shy, but they're still willing to come up and give you a fist bump. They'll tease you a little bit, and they'll laugh, they'll engage. And they're young. They they don't know difference. They don't know hate. They don't know prejudice. They're just a kid that's trying to sit there and grab onto mommy or daddy's leg, right? I was at an event yesterday afternoon in Worcester, and little black baby grabbed onto my leg thinking I was his dad, right? Looked up and was like, oh, you're not dad. But it's that universality, right? It's that piece where you go, look, a kid is a kid. And Karim, I have traveled all over the world. I've had the fortune to work all over the world, and I've yet to find a country where if you throw a ball with a child, that they don't pick it up and throw it back, right? And so I think, you see the amount of the burden that so many parents are carrying, the anxiety, the uncertainty of this moment. And you also see the smiles on the faces of the little kids, and you sit there and go, look, I know that this future can be bigger and brighter for all of us if you're willing to fight for it, and if you're willing to pour everything you can into it. And I think that particularly at this moment, for those of us in a position of power, that's what's required. And if you're not willing to do that, then how do you ask a mom or dad how do you ask parents to do that for their kids if the people in charge of setting those policies aren't willing to do that too?